And we're back.
Hello, we're back.
Are back with our thoughts on Pet Sematary. 1989 Pet Sematary.
Good year.
Good year. Let's get into our trivia first. So there's a few interesting ones here. First of all, Bruce Campbell was the first choice for the role of Louis Creed.
I've never heard that. I've never, ever heard that before.
Who knows how true it is? It's just on IMDb, so I don't know.
I mean, even if it was an inkling of a thought at one
Yeah.
point, I saw this before we started watching it, and pretty much the whole movie I thought, what if Bruce Campbell was playing this scene? And the whole time I thought, this would just be a big old comedy if it was Bruce Campbell playing this scene.
It'd still be good, though.
Oh, yeah.
So the original screenplay featured the Wendigo, which is a Native American demon, which is a little more heavily featured in the novel, and then also the 2019 movie. But for the 89 movie, it was ultimately cut from the film, and its presence is only implied, and it's only if you're really, really paying attention. There are two moments when they are in kind of the woods beyond the Pet Cemetery, that the sour land that you hear like a rustling in the woods, or the one noise like this big loud kind of crashy crumble sound, and those were supposed to be they were filmed to be, and they're like put in there to be actual references to the Wendigo, but then they took that part out of the actual script, so they're kind of there for no reason. But if you've read the novel, then you might be able to make those connections. Over the years, many critics frequently voiced concern over the impression that being in this film must have left on young Miko Hughes. But apparently they've come out and said that all of his parts during the horror sequences were shot separately from the disturbing elements and the violence, and then they just kind of edited him in and then used a child dummy, like whenever he's like actually on top of people and like ripping their eyes out and stuff.
It's a very realistic dummy in some parts.
Very well done.
Yeah. And so that kind of, so, people have come up and been like, they put a kid through all this stuff, and they're like, no, we didn't.
Yeah.
He wasn't even on set whenever they were doing all the crazy stuff. So
What kind of impressions did he give you at Horror Hound? Like, what was the input he had? Did you go to like a panel or anything?
Yeah, it was a panel. I mean, he was just real chill and laid back. Like, whenever they ask him questions, he's like, well, I mean, I was a baby, so
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting.
He didn't have a lot to comment on. And then the scene where Pascal visits Louis in the night, originally shot with Louis only in some jockey shorts, as he is described in the novel during that scene. However, the scene had to be reshot with him wearing full pajamas, and he has the robe on and stuff, because the filmmakers were concerned that Midkiff was just a little too sexy, and his attractive physical appearance would diminish the eeriness of the scene.
I could see that.
Those calves, though.
I could see that. Again, I'm picturing Bruce Campbell in that same role. Just as sexy. Just as sexy.
I don't know if he would have filmed it with the pajamas on. He didn't. He just said, no, not doing it. So those were some of them. There was a few other interesting ones. Gosh, and of course I'm blanking on all of them now. Oh, so in the new Pet Sematary, the 2019 Pet Sematary, there were 4 cats used for the role of Church, and in the original there were 7 cats used for the role of Church. So cat training, I guess, has advanced.
More efficient.
Much better.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
We got Rocco talking to us in chat. He says, dudes, while you were watching, a kid's toy for my son started meowing just like the cat in the movie. I'm so spooked I can't take it. How does that happen? It's pretty funny. All right, Danny, what were your thoughts kind of on the movie in general?
In general, I watched this movie when I was a kid, and there's a lot more things I picked up on this time around. And when I say kid, I mean like a teenager. Just as far as even some of the deeper context of the notable quotes, man's heart is stonier. The soil of a man's heart is stonier, and just considering what that actually meant. And I'm sure it's probably a little more quotable or as quotable from the actual book itself. But just how much that came up in the movie, I did not realize until this time through, and kind of the context of what it held to the movie. In general, I remember it as well as I remember it from before. It was as creepy as I thought it was from before, and I really like Pet Sematary. And I hope, as the only one here that has not seen the remake, I had very high expectations. I have very high expectations. And I do still look forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Cool. So for those who may not be here with us live, we no longer have Cody on the right mic. We now have Josh.
What up, Josh?
So Cody had to kind of bug out early for this episode, and then Josh was actually showing up late to this episode, and I was like, perfect, you guys can just switch places, and it's going to be great. So first time we've had a situation like that, but sometimes schedules are schedules, and we figure it out. So it actually worked out great because Cody was not with Josh and I on Saturday when we saw the new Pet Sematary. So kind of when we get more towards the end, we'll kind of do a compare and contrast of the two movies. So Danny, if you don't want anything to be spoiled, well, I'll give you a clean break. You can leave the room if you'd like at that time.
All right.
So as someone who didn't necessarily watch this as a kid or a lot growing up or anything, I think I saw it once on HBO when I was like 13, and I probably caught only probably jumped in the middle somewhere. Like, I don't have a lot of like nostalgia tied to Pet Sematary like a lot of people do. And so I wasn't like, I remember most of the story beats, but I didn't even really remember exactly what happened or how the events played out or like what character was who and who did what. But I really liked this movie. It's even better than I remembered. It's better than I anticipated. It's better even more than it's better than I thought it would be after watching the remake. And yeah, I guess for me, I was just kind of in shock the whole time at how much better this movie was than I was prepared for.
I agree. Similar to James, I had never seen the original, and seeing it Saturday and then seeing this one soon after, there were a lot of things from this movie that I appreciated more, seeing how they adapted it or how they might have changed it in the new movie. And I just think the original, I think it's timed, and the pacing is really good. Mm-hmm. It doesn't waste too much time, and it stays pretty steady. There's not many lulls. And I remember looking at how long the movie was on the initial thing, and it's kind of late, and I went, oh man, it's going to be a long movie. The next thing you know, the movie's over a little bit faster than I imagined.
Yeah, it didn't feel long.
It just flowed really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Was this movie scary?
I think this movie was scary.
I agree.
I think this movie is scary. There are some things that were a little corny. For example, some of the sound bites of the kid laughing.
Right.
Got a little bit corny for me. But even just some of the scenery when they're going out to the pet cemetery, the look of the Indian burial ground, and then when things start obviously coming back to life, even just the glow of the cat's eyes, the way they make up the kid and they put him in the little suit, the friggin' little top hat and the cane, like, God, it's creeping weird. The heck out of me right now. Weird. He's a more fleshy Chucky, and as scary as Chucky is, he was, I would say, just as scary.
Definitely better dressed.
Definitely better
more
dressed.
Dapper.
Oh my gosh.
I felt like it was really scary. I think that the the scene specific when it hit me. So now that we've kind of gotten into a rhythm of asking some of the same questions on the podcast, I try to think of some of those questions while we're watching the movie. And the moment that Victor Pascal is leading Lewis into the pet cemetery in like the dream but not a dream moment, I was like, oh, the answer to is this movie scary is yes. That whole sequence was scary. I felt uncomfortable during that whole sequence. And it wasn't even like a jump scary or super gory or super like intense moment, but like them that shot of them ghostly Victor Pascal and then Lewis kind of in a dream state walking down that road was scary. It like I felt it in my gut.
Yeah. The one scene that I totally blanked on, completely forgot about, was the flashback of the mom to taking care of her sister. That I think maybe I repressed it because that was probably one of the most uneasy moments of the whole film. The way they done her up as far as the makeup and the effects of her and her condition was just creepy.
Super scary.
And how much she came back. Totally forgot how much she came back through the movie and everything. That was really upsetting.
Yeah, so some of the things that I read were most people's memories of this movie are Church of the Cat, Victor Pascal, and crap, I already forgot her name.
Gage. Oh.
Nope. The sister. Son of a gun. I lost it. Not Ellie. The mom's sister. That's fine. Those of you who know this movie, you know who
She
I'm
reminded me
talking
of
about.
a Deadite.
Yeah.
She was very Deadite. And I thought, man, if Bruce Campbell was here.
She was very Deadite, but she wasn't a Deadite.
She wasn't a Deadite. Well, until the end of the movie,
Yeah, but that was more of, I think that was more of just like the vision of her fear. Like that, I don't think that was real.
Sure.
She did. That character did not actually come back from the dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what was the scare of the week?
That was my scare of the week. Because it just surprised me. It caught me so off guard. I completely forgot that flashback. I completely forgot that was a piece of the mother's background and why she was so like against her kids getting to know death or any portion of death or anything like that. And it just scared the crap out of me, surprised me. I didn't like it. Made me very uneasy.
Which part of it's particular? Just anything with her in it whatsoever, or the flashback, or
the flashback, and in particular the scenes where it, like they showed the cutaway backside of her pajamas, and you saw her spine and her very bony configuration, and then when she's feeding her and she's choking on the food, it's just terrifying.
Some of the scares are a little bit similar.
Yeah.
It's really corny. I think like the initial scare in the whole movie when the cat's just in the tree, it was just the timing of it. I was like, it wasn't like actually horrifying. It just was like the best scare.
Yeah, I mean if I'm honest, the one that made me jump and the one that you go, oh shit, and look behind me was once Gage has come back and he's running through the house and he's laughing and stuff. There was a freaking jump scare laugh in the surround sound speaker right behind my shoulder.
That's what a great surround sound system will do for you.
Got me really good. That's why we have surround sound down there. All right, kill of the week.
I've been thinking about this one. That's a tough call.
And kill could also be wrapped up in like specific, maybe a gore moment or like something like that. And if you can't think of one right off the bat, Josh, feel free to jump in.
Please.
I was thinking about this one too. I don't have a great answer.
Oh, I got it. It's Judd.
I was gonna say Judd.
It's Judd.
I was gonna say Judd.
It's. I'm so sad to see him die.
Yeah.
I'm so sad to see him get his heel cut.
Yeah.
The Achilles slice. I was so sad, and then like even after that, he like gets his mouth cut. Like,
well, that was my problem with the kill was, okay, your Achilles is cut. You're not walking anywhere, Judd. I totally understand. And then, okay, you got to swipe at the old jowl, and it's like,
Joker
okay.
Yeah.
But then he was down for the count. He was just,
He was an old man.
No arm movements. He just laid there, and he let that little young zombie Gage take a big old chunk out of his neck and gone. But
Him's an old man.
comparatively, definitely the best kill. And then the discovery by Lewis of him and the slightly decomposed mouth, and it was a very decent body reveal as well. So
yeah. All right, Danny, go ahead and hit us with final thoughts and your yes or no and your nuggets, and then I'll let you step out if you want to avoid spoilers.
okay, I would say a definite yes, 100% yes. All the way, definitely watch Pet Sematary. I would give it 90 nuggies. 90.
You did the scale right this time.
90
Good job.
chicken nuggies, 9 sauces, all the sauces, and a small Burger King fry. No, chicken fry.
Okay.
Nuggies with a side of chicken fries.
Okay. Great. All right. You gonna hang in or?
You guys do your nuggies, and then I'll scoot and boot. What's it?
Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead. I thumbs up for me for sure. Yeah, 100 nuggets.
All the nuggets.
You can pay $10 for this movie and be completely content, especially if you haven't seen it before. Or if you only saw it once a long time ago when you were a lot younger, you don't really remember anything about it. If this isn't a classic to you, definitely go watch it. Because if it's a classic to you, you probably remember enough that maybe you don't need to watch it again, or maybe you love it so much that you watch it fairly regularly. But whenever, for me personally, when I'm thinking the classic horror movies that were really important to me, as I was growing up, I'm thinking Scream, I'm thinking Nightmare on Elm Street. This Pet Sematary doesn't really enter the conversation, and it should. And I'm almost upset that I didn't have that appreciation for it sooner.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like it doesn't necessarily hit on the Stephen King radar all the time for everybody, and then as soon as you remember, it's like it's wonderful.
Oh, personally, I would rather watch this Pet Sematary movie than sitting through the entire It TV miniseries, which is 3.5 or 4 hours long, which I've seen 7 or 8 times in my life. And this is way better than that.
Yeah.
It's personal.
I give it 2 thumbs up as well. I would give it probably as many nuggets as you need to own it.
Yeah.
I think it's that good.
And we rented it. I wish I owned this on Blu-ray. I need to buy a good Blu-ray.
Yeah, try to find one with maybe some extras on it if possible, something like that. Yeah, and there are parts of it that doesn't feel very typically Stephen King. But yeah, the movie is, I think, it's really good. Really, really good. Easily rewatchable too.
Yep. Cool. Well, there you have that part. We are definitely giving it the original Eek seal of quality. We got 3 thumbs out of 3 thumbs.
Eeky.
Yep, that's a great movie. Danny, this is where we say goodbye.
Adios.
Bye, Daniel.
Peace, love, and all the chicken nuggets.
Yeah. All right, now we're doing a weird hand thing. People on video can see it, but
the shake from the airport with Irwin and Lewis.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's my scare of the week.
That's true. Lewis does have a really awkward handshake with his father-in-law.
Shake your father-in-law's hand like that. Yeah.
We're just going to leave all the doors opening and shutting in the recording. It's fine. Okay, Josh. So, first of all, this movie is so much better than the new movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's probably going to be a lot of people's reaction, and they're going to be like, well, yeah, remakes are never as good, yada, yada, yada. But I feel like we are in a great position where we don't have nostalgia and memories and love tied to the original. And we hated the remake.
I mean, you could even say that, since we watched the new one first, that was our original nostalgic example.
Right.
And then you see this other one that hits, you see this, like I said, you see the same beats. You see a lot of this, things are shot exactly the same.
Yep.
It's just better. And I think one of the big things I think between the two is that in the new one, it's very dark. It's meant to be super, super sinister and supernaturally scary.
Yeah.
And this one is not quite that. It's a little bit lighter as the movie starts. And I think obviously the original one I think just does it way better. The second one just overdoes it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a couple things that stand out to me hugely, and guys, if you don't want the new Pet Sematary 2019 version spoiled, go ahead and cut us off now. Come back after you've watched it, because I'm probably going to spoil some things. Oh, yeah. But one of my biggest problems with watching Pet Sematary 2019 in theaters was that I didn't follow a lot of the story, and I didn't understand a lot of the motivations of the characters, and the relationships didn't make sense to me, and a lot of that is fixed in the original, and that's very disheartening, because it's like, okay, you had great character moments with Lewis and Judd in the original movie, and then you just kind of decided to not write any of that in.
Like, they're able to make more relational fiber with less exposition.
Yeah, and I feel like, and maybe it was a chemistry of actors thing. This family was much more believable to me than the remake family.
Yeah.
Judd's father-son relationship with Lewis, how he kind of takes that father figure, he's kind of a grandfather to the children. That happens so much. It's more natural and more believable in the original, whereas even though John Lithgow as Judd
is better
100% better, his relationship to the other characters is almost non-existent.
I think it starts as simply as the first time you see Judd in the remake, it's framed in a specific way to make you feel a certain way about him.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the original, he's this kind of just friendly farmer guy who just happens to live across the street. First thing he does is he's helping them out. And it's just a very, very different way to start his character development.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was a huge, in my opinion, misstep. Just not spending enough time on the relationship between Judd and Lewis, I think is bad. And so I was actually listening to another podcast. So I'll kind of do a little shout out here to Off the Press. He was talking about this movie, and I wanted to hear his thoughts on it too. And some of the same issues that we walked out with, but he was a huge fan of the original. And so he's kind of drawing these one-on-one comparisons. Also a huge fan of the novel. And he's read the novel, drawing more one-on-one comparisons. And he walked out feeling the same way we did, and we'd never even seen the original movie. Or not really, at least. Yeah. And so the fact that we were able to pick up on those things without even being really that educated about the story, I think speaks to the weakness of the remake. And so he actually was talking about a lot of this kind of new wave horror, this new smart horror that people are raving about are things like Hereditary, things like Get Out, things like Us. And he kind of drew some comparisons to that and Pet Sematary 1989. And he's like, what Pet Sematary 1989 did so well that these movies are doing well, and the reason why we like these movies is, and we're calling them smart horror movies, is because it's not just stab, 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 jump scare, violent. It's relationships between real people. And I think that is so much evident in maybe not so much Get Out, but definitely Us. Definitely Hereditary. I mean, the Hereditary as a movie could not have the horror aspect in it and just be a really intense family drama.
Very intense.
But then the horror parts thrown into it make it a great horror movie. And I think that Pet Sematary is kind of the same way. And that's because at the root of it, Pet Sematary is not about Gage coming back to life or Ellie coming back to life. It doesn't matter which one it is. Pet Sematary is about families learning how to deal with grief and how they all do it completely differently.
Right.
So yeah, I will say I think the creative choice of making Ellie the one who gets killed and resurrected in the new version versus Gage in the old version is also a poor choice, because the problem is we miss out on more character relationship, because whenever Gage dies, Ellie's old enough to understand that.
Right.
And we see her react to it, and we see her crying in the living room. We see her carrying around the photo of her little brother. Gage can't do that in the new movie.
Right. I didn't think about that. That's really good.
And like it hit me so hard. Like, and maybe this is probably the dad talking to me. I have a 6-year-old, and like he doesn't have a sibling, but like if he did, like that's all the things that I'm imagining. Like if we had a younger sibling and Jonah lost, his little brother or something, like, and I'm seeing her holding this photo and like trying to deal with these memories, and like he doesn't exist anymore, and then asking the questions like, oh, if God really wanted to bring him back, he could, right? Like, that's fucking intense.
Yeah, very.
And like those parts of it are scary. Like that's not even the horror of it. And those are scary moments in the movie, and we don't get any of that in the new movie because Gage is 2 years old. Like
he's basically a prop that's carried around.
Yeah. Yep. So using him as the quote unquote enemy in the original and also in the novel just makes so much more sense. So, yeah. Anything else you picked up on? I was trying to keep my feelers out for other things that just sucked in the first one that were so much better in the original, because it was a lot. The pacing, you said something about the pacing.
Yeah. So in the remake, they're like the family outing where Gage is killed is done in a kind of a similar manner. It's another family outing. We're kind of at spoilers now. It's just it's a birthday party. But it just seems so belabored and just it just out of place, and it takes forever. And then there's kind of a switcheroo, which I appreciate that, but it didn't matter because it still kind of was the wrong kid in the grand scheme of things. And it just, everything took so long. I don't even know what the two times were for both of the movies.
Yeah.
But
that's a great question.
But just all the same beats were there. It just was more efficient, and it didn't feel like you were being forced into this next scene. And the original just did such a good job of that.
Yeah, it really did. Let's see. 2019. So the first one was an hour and 44 minutes. 2019 is an hour and 40 minutes. So technically 4 minutes shorter, and the new one felt so long and boring. I mean, granted, we were kind of on like a vacation, so like we'd been walking around all day, and like we're just finding a moment to chill, so we went to a movie. But like I almost fell asleep multiple times watching Pet Sematary 2019 in theaters.
Yeah.
It was a boring movie, and it was very poorly paced. It was very slow at the beginning, and then just like everything at you at once at the end, and not in a good way, like not in a slow burn payoff way, just in a, hey, you paid for this seat, so I guess we need to show you something kind of way.
Yeah. Because I guess another thing is it didn't take any really extra time, but in the new one, they have the Wendigo that's mentioned, and you kind of see this vague silhouette. And I think the Wendigos are cool. They look like a monster from the Witcher game. And you get the same thing, though, from the original movie without ever mentioning that. You just get this eerie, plus where they actually are buried, as opposed to it just being this kind of like tower.
Yeah.
It has this symbolic something, which you assume is like an Indian burial ground or something.
Right.
And everything is kind of explained like that. So you have this creepy forest that has a mind of its own and kind of these spirits, without having to say any of that or spend extra time on it. And
I even love like the Wendigo, and even if we would have like seen a real shot of one, and like I would have loved all of that. But somehow a lot of that stuff is in the new one, and it's not what made it a better movie. No. Like it would be really cool to have a cut of the original that had a little bit more of the supernatural stuff sprinkled in, because I like that stuff too. But like, I mean, when you're comparing apples to apples, like even without all that stuff, the old one is so much better.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
Not really. I think we've said our piece about it.
We've said quite a bit about it. So there you have it. Pet Sematary 1989 gets the original Eek seal of quality from us. Again, that was 3 out of 3 thumbs. So we really, really loved it. And then, yeah, Pet Sematary 2019. There's only 2 of us here, but we're both giving it a thumbs down.
I'll give it 3 thumbs if I had them.
So even if someone else was here that had seen it and loved it, too bad. You wouldn't be getting the seal of quality no matter what. So yeah, there it is. Guys, thank you so much for just interacting with us and just following us on Instagram and listening to the podcast and all this stuff. You can keep up with us on Instagram at Eek Channel. You can always catch us on YouTube and Twitch. Just search for us, Eek Channel, twitchtv.com/Eek Channel. We're Eek Channel. You can find us on all the things. We technically even have a Facebook, but I haven't really gotten into it yet because I don't even use Facebook. Yeah, so just continue to support us. We really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Also, every Wednesday now, you will be getting another show in your feed. That is the Twilight Diner, and so Cody's actually hosting that. It's an ongoing conversation about Jordan Peele's new Twilight Zone. Episodes are only like 15-ish minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes, so it's a little bit easier of a listen, and it's really, really cool. Check it out. It'll pop right up in your podcast feed, just like this show did. All right. Thank you guys so much. Stay eeky out there.